So it seems that Dan Wooton is now being rocked again with fresh allegations with the third part of the Bylines Times investigation. Hey guys, it's Morali. Hopefully you guys are all doing well today. Back at again, it is daily and consistent content. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Click that button and let's get straight into this video, guys. Subscribe. Click that button. I would really appreciate it. I was voted via the MBCC Awards for the Role Model of the Year category, so I would really appreciate it if you check the link in the bio. It takes less than 2 minutes to vote. I would really appreciate it, guys. So let's get into this, where it looks like we are in the third part of this investigation, entitled Martin Branning, his first victim, is what this third part is This is the third part of the investigation. The third part of the investigation obviously refers to Martin Branning, blackmailed the partner of a Murdoch journalist into making a covert, sex video, later found hidden behind the washing machine, as we all know, via Truby, Dan Wooton's ex, when he initially revealed that. Well, Bylines has now gone into this with a lot more depth and receipts and emails, which are obviously quite shocking. The partner, a man whose identity Byline Times is protecting, says the fallout from this went on for years. He quit his London life, lost everything, went into depths of depression and his suicide, and now wants to get it sorted out. The victim revealed how Branning started sending him emails, some of which this newspaper is publishing for the first time today. Shortly after the man, through his partner, met Wooton at a London members club. The Branning emails claimed to be from a go-between on behalf of an unnamed but interested third party, offering the man, whom Wooton knew at the time was in financial trouble, up to £5,000 a week for modelling and other work. It's always the grown men who have the money and the power and the abuse who want to offer lucrative money to young boys who are struggling. In an email on 26th of June, Branning, who was allegedly at this point assumed to be Dan Wooton with a secret identity, said, "I had your email and a couple of pics of you passed along to me because I heard you might be interested in making some extra cash. Basically said you were an open-minded guy who was always looking for ways to make more money. The work turned out to be creation of adult films. Once located, Branning sent handheld digital cameras to the man by motorbike courier and gave cash in exchange. At that time, I needed money," the victim said. "It was an attractive offer. Anything is going to be deemed attractive if it has money behind it. The courier would come with a video camera he would supply. I would make footage with it and send it back with the courier. Ultimately, money would be delivered." I know it sounds full on. As I say, it's completely standard. "Have you ever slept with a celebrity?" To which the victim said no. In his journalistic career, Dan Wooton has revealed a number of men as gay or bisexual as well. In a further email on 29th of July, Branning gave the man instructions on how to persuade targets to agree to be filmed. Branning wrote, "You make it a really horny idea with whoever you're seeing. All you need to say is, I love you to film me as you F me. And it works with all the guys, trust me. Anyway, just keep me informed with your progress." Giving his accounts of events to Byline Times, the man said, "I wish I'd never responded to him. It all seemed quite innocent and I thought I'm not hurting anyone." Branning's pretext for applying pressure to the victim was to say that he was working on behalf of a demanding third party who seemingly had intimate knowledge of the victim's partner and their movement as a couple. In fact, the victim had been introduced to Wooton by the victim's partner in the early stages of their relationship, and the partner also worked for News UK. Wow. The victim said, "I always thought that Dan Wooton had a strange obsession with my ex, and it was weird." Branning's knowledge of details about the victim's private life soon unnerved him. "It was odd. I was going on a holiday with my partner, then messages would get more intense and requests would get more and more uncommon. It just ramped up, and I was like, this guy knows too much about me." That was a scary thing, and it was just frightening, really. I could not get away from it. Things started to come to a head when Branning told the victim to make a film with his partner, who, when asked, said he did not want to make one. The victim said, "It started with, 'Do you know this guy?' I told him I was not going to do this, but the pressure was mounting via Branning. He went on. I said, it's not going to happen. He's not interested. It will be difficult to obtain. But then I was told to just take some discreet pictures. When he refused, this is where Branning became very ruthless." The man said, Branning said, "If you don't get this footage, then there are consequences, and you don't want your employer to find out of your friends and your family or know what you're doing." Basically emotionally blackmailing him and forcing him to take videos of somebody without their own consent. That person that Martin Branning is messaging to say, do this video with this other person and get videos and pictures, that person has had a conversation with this person saying, "I don't want these videos or pictures. I don't want us to do this in the bedroom." But then Martin Branning, aka allegedly Dan Wooton, is now emotionally blackmailing the victim to say, "You need to do this, take some discreet pictures," without his knowledge And this is where it gets very techie and very complicated. And the mounting pressure of saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to emotionally blackmail you. I'm going to obviously, do something against you. So a lot of these emails and screenshots have been released now by Byline Times of conversation between. So for those who didn't even believe about what was found behind the washing machine, well, there are now emails in discussion of these videos being made, which is absolute proof of what was going on. This is some form of evidence as well. So the fact that this Martin Branning individual, aka people believe to be Dan Wooton, is pressurizing him to and emotionally blackmailing him to say, if you don't make these videos and pictures without that party's consent, if you don't film this for me, which is a crime, if you don't do any of this for me, I'm going to tell your family and friends about what you've been doing and the desperation for why you admitted to doing it, because you were broke and desperately needed that money. This is where it comes from, the lack of money, the environment around that these young guys and boys are in. Grown people know that, and it's much more easier to exploit them. Believe me, I know. There's a lot of heavy exploitation around the lack thereof money, and therefore, this is the money, but in order for you to get this money that you so desperately want, there is a wall in front of things that I want you to do that you may not want to do, that you don't want to do. You just want the money, but in order for you to get the money, you got to do all of this in front and break that wall and do things that I want you to do in order to get the money. It is an exchange, but it is an exchange of exploitation. It is an exchange of taking advantage of young people, especially young boys and girls in our society. Believe me, I know when it came to the grown men and what I was doing for them, they always wanted me to go further, engage in these weird dark kinks and things that I was very uncomfortable with doing and did not want to do, and ultimately forced into doing so. But there is that attractiveness of the money. If you are homeless, if you are escaping significant abuse, you don't have any support system around you, and you need to eat and breathe, there is that money around the situation for me, and therefore I need to do the things that I don't want to do in order to get that money, and that money would actually give me a second chance at life, to live, to actually try and cope, and etc., etc. Now, the question, unfortunately, that everybody had with me was, why, Murad, are you doing this? You're a traitor, you're a bad person, look at you, XYZ. However, nobody was having the conversation as to why these grown men in their late 30s, early 40s, who have this wealth, who have this money, are hiring me and asking me as a teenage boy to engage in such ridiculous things that I don't need to be doing so. Why are you not going to your age mate? Why? Because it is a transaction of exploitation that is going on. It doesn't matter if you're playing a certain role. If there's a significant age disparity of things that you should be doing as well, there is that element of abuse. And hopefully with the stories of Philip Schofield, Hugh Edwards as well, with that boy who had a crack addiction, Hugh knew that giving the money would fill in, get him his drugs. Hugh knew that, and he was like, you can take the drugs. This is what you really want, the drugs, and you want the money for it. Do this and perform for me on these Zoom calls or whatever. And then you also have that with Dan, with the fact that I'm going to give you 5K, 6K. You need the money. Get these videos and pictures for me. This is what I want you to do. There is this attractiveness, and when it's young boys, sometimes it gets glossed over. But this is the similar roots in all these situations involving mine, is that these men have a lot of power, a lot of wealth, and they notice that you are in a very vulnerable, exploitive environment, and they can take advantage of that. That is how they're looking at you solidly, and they want something from you, and you are going to be more likely to do it because you're much younger, have no money, and can be easily taken advantage of. And if you ever dare try saying no to me or XYZ, I am going to tell people around about what you've been doing, and therefore you are trapped. There's a sense of entrapment, and this is how it is for these victims. This is the third part of the investigation by Bylines, which are separate conversations directly. It was about the son and the bullying stuff, then it was about catfishing scandal, and then this, which is forcing to take videos without people's consent. Like, how many more investigation parts do Byline need to do for people to actually understand the situation, for how deeply prevalent it is? But no, he's still going to be seen on GB News, which is absolutely ludicrous. Ludicrous, guys. Ludicrous. This world is just crazy. Anyways, subscribe to the channel, guys. Click that button. It is daily and consistent content, and I'll catch you guys soon for another review.